Welcome to the kitchen. We've got a couple of different recipes today that you will be successful in making. Both of them are originals of mine. I actually have my own little cookbook that I've been compiling for probably 20 years. If I ever got around to it, I'd publish it, but by this time I have so many recipes, thousands of them, that I probably would have to break it out in sections. So this one today is on salad dressings that I use all the time in my house. I use multiple salad dressings, but today we're just going to focus on two. And these are two of my staples that I have all the time in the refrigerator at home. So the first one is, if you do not have a food processor like this, you can make it in a candy jar or any kind of a jar with a lid. And this is really simple. It's balsamic vinegar, olive oil, best you can buy, maple syrup, I know that sounds a little weird, Dijon mustard, and salt, and a little bit of pepper. And also fresh herbs. In this case, I put in here, and I can show you, I put in chives. These chives are out of my garden. And I grow all my own fresh herbs. I must probably have 30 different types of fresh herbs, depending on the season in my garden at all times. I don't use dried spices unless I have no choice. The only time I use dried spices is probably, like I said, if they're not fresh. And if you go to buy dried spices in the grocery store, here's a tip. They've been sitting on a shelf for an extended period of time, or in shipping or manufacturing. So bring home the jar and immediately upend it. Turn it upside down. You're going to redistribute the natural oils of the spices throughout the rest of the jar. So store it like that, and when you go to use it, before you measure it out to use it for a recipe, shake it and make sure you redistribute all the oils. Upside down, shake it, and then use it like that. But this again is great balsamic vinegar. You find the best quality you can. Believe it or not, I think probably for the value, I'd probably go to Costco. They have a really good one. But balsamic vinegar is made from Trebbiano white grapes. And what happens in the process of actually fermenting these grapes, they take the outside skins and they actually turn dark as they're fermented. My family has owned balsamic vinegar factories for, 7 generations. And when we went to Modena with my friend Curtis and Dave, we actually were able to get into one of the factories to see it. It's a process you wouldn't believe. They're small little barrels, and they quarter turn them every month. So what they do is redistribute all the vinegar inside. And balsamic vinegar is from Modena, Italy. The stuff that I love the best is probably exorbitantly expensive. You can't even afford it. I mean, I bought 2 bottles of it because they were like $200 a bottle. And it was 25-year-old balsamic vinegar. It was thick, very thick. The viscosity is similar to maybe Pennzoil. I mean, you want something that's thick, and it's sweet. Balsamic vinegar it's sweet sour. It's got that unique taste to it. And I use it all the time for my salads. That's my everyday go-to dressing, which is this. Again, balsamic vinegar, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of salt, honey, this time I use maple syrup, which gives it a different flavor altogether. And then also Dijon mustard. And when we went to Dijon, France, the mustard capital of the world, I went nuts. I bought so many cans of mustard. They sell it in cans. They don't sell it in jars. And besides, it doesn't travel that well. I buy a suitcase when I get to Europe and pack it full of food that I can't get here. Now, when the rub is, the guys that are in customs get to go through your stuff. Here's a trick. You take the really good stuff like maybe canned foie gras and wrap it in your dirty underwear. You think these customs guys are going to touch your underwear? Not a chance. So wrap it in, all the really good stuff in your underwear. They'll just go, ooh, we don't want to touch that. And they won't even bother it. Back to your vinegar here. So this is a vinaigrette. Like I said, you can use it on salads. You can use it on sweet salads. It's really good with strawberries. I just use it on romaine. And this is, if you don't have a food processor, look at how it sheets. This is called sheeting. And sheeting in a glass of wine usually references to how much sugar is actually in the content of the wine, the way it sheets down the sides of a glass. And this is probably the maple syrup that's along with the balsamic vinegar that's doing that. So this is your first recipe. And the recipes will be provided on the show, so you'll get a chance to see these at the end. Now, the next recipe is one I used in both of the restaurants that I owned, and also in one of at the Ojai Valley Inn when I was the chef there. And let me share that with you. Now, first recipe is this is a Caesar salad. So to make this fast, they tell you to coddle eggs because they don't want you to have bad food, correct? You don't want anything that will make you sick. So instead, I came up with this. You take 4 eggs and you just puncture them and you put them in the microwave for 1 minute and it actually coddles the egg. And then I'll show you how we'll do that in a minute. But here we go. To put it in the food processor. Now everything will go in this food processor and I look like I'm missing one ingredient. Be right back. Now in a previous show, I shared with you how I make my garlic. This is really the best way of doing garlic for fresh garlic. I never buy the stuff in a jar because it's got chemicals in it and it tastes kind of metallic. So if you're buying jarred garlic, do this instead. So this is fresh garlic, chopped in the processor, and throw into small little fine dice, 1/4 inch, and then you can actually throw it into your food processor, like I said, and preserve it with olive oil. This is all olive oil on top. So let's mix this up too, and I'm gonna get a spoon and throw some in the bottom. This is not sophisticated, believe me. So, kind of eyeball it. I think I do about 6 to 8 cloves, which is about, let's do a little more. Garlic's always good for you. 6 to 8 cloves of garlic at the bottom of your work bowl. Next ingredient is the thing that I love that most people don't, anchovies. I put anchovies in everything because when you put them in the bottom of a hot pan for a sauce, it's that nuance. It gives you that umami taste. You know you like it, but you don't know why. So I took and opened a can already and drained off all the oil off of it. The recipe calls for about 8 anchovies. Well, more is always great. So let's throw all the anchovies in here too. These are really good. Anchovies come from Portugal. They're on an endangered list these days because they've been overfished. So take care of your anchovies because they're going to be precious in a while. The price is going to go really skyrocketing up. Also, they're great in your garden. Like I shared with you, I take sardines. You can do it with also with anchovies. Put one at the bottom of every new tomato plant, and it organically feeds the plant for the life of the plant, and it also gives you about twice the yield in tomatoes. Try that. Okay, next I'm going to put in Dijon mustard. Now it can't be called Dijon, by the way, unless it is from France. It can be like Grey Poupon. You're not going to see made in France on Grey Poupon, which is made, by the way, in Oxnard, California, right next door. So this is actually Moutarde de Lyon, or Dijon. This is from Dijon, which is the mustard. It's vinegar and mustard seeds. Mustard is one of my favorite ingredients to cook with because there's no fat in it and it gives it such a great flavor. So we're going to put a little bit of that in here. You get to see the inside of underneath my sink. So let's try this. I'm going to wipe off the spoon because you don't want to use the same spoon unless you wipe it off for other ingredients. So let's put in about, a tablespoon, a little bit less than a tablespoon of Dijon in your work bowl here. And let's say that these eggs have already been in the microwave. In fact, hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, so we just coddled these eggs in the microwave. See, you can tell that they're coddled. They're not raw eggs. So no fear of salmonella in here. So just stir them up a little bit with a whisk or a fork, whatever you've got around. And these will be added with the wet ingredients, which are going to be next. Before you do that, let's talk about pepper. This is Tellicherry black ground pepper, coarsely ground. I have different kinds of pepper grinders that I use, and my favorite is the Peugeot, which is made from the same car company that makes the cars. They're Peugeots. And you can tell because they say so on the bottom of the mill. Now these are pretty expensive. They're over $100. They'll last you a lifetime. Thrift store, $2.99. What a deal. Always go to a thrift store first before you buy any kind of kitchen equipment. Odds are somebody bought it that goes, wow, I really need that in my kitchen, and they never used it again, and they give it up to a thrift store. I've got a garage full of dead appliances. I did the same thing. These things are in there. It's a graveyard in the garage. I'm going, yeah, I need that air fryer. Well, I used it once. I guess I don't know how to use modern day equipment all that well. It didn't work for me. So another one goes to the thrift store so I can buy another one of these. So let's throw in the black pepper. This is probably, I would say maybe a three-quarters of a cup of coarsely ground black pepper. So I'm going to turn on the processor so it makes the noise. You can hear it now. And we're going to eat. And you can see where it's churning fast. It goes so fast, it homogenizes everything in here and liquefies. You're not going to get chunks of egg. And if you do, it's not a bad thing. Now next we'll go wet. So in here I've got a quarter of a cup of Lee & Perrins Worcestershire sauce and a quarter of a cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Now this is the trick part. You want to add this as the machine is going slowly. Now because if you add it all at once, the sauce will break. What do I mean by break? That means separate. And if it separates, you don't want to have a whole bunch of stuff on top of your salad that is in a big lump. Don't do that. Just add this slowly. I wish this was smell-o-vision because this smells so good, especially with those anchovies. Now don't make faces. I can see you at home. You're making faces about the anchovies. Don't make faces about my anchovies until you try it. You'll really like it. Okay, so we're adding this slowly again so the sauce does not break. And then we'll add our final ingredient, which is 2 cups of EVOO, extra virgin olive oil. Rather than sit here and screw with it, I'm just going to take the lid off. And put in 2 cups, measure this out accurately. You really do need to be accurate on the measurement on the liquid ingredients. You just don't want to eyeball it. On some things you can eyeball, and I'll always tell you when you can eyeball stuff. If you've been cooking for an extended period of time or you're an experienced cook, you know what I mean by eyeball. Eyeball is what your grandmother used to do. When you asked her for a recipe, she goes, just throw it in a bowl. You know how much to do that. Just watch me what I'm doing. She never wrote anything down. My grandmother did that. My mother, no, she didn't do that. My mother bought potatoes in a can. Who buys potatoes in a can? God forbid. Okay, back to the olive oil. Here we go. Slowly again, add the olive oil. Now I'm going to give this to Rich, my director who's taking this film. He's going to take this home so he can report back at the next time if he liked it or he didn't. Oh, he says yes. He's waving the camera. Now see how slowly this goes in here? It incorporates completely. You can make this and keep it in your refrigerator for years. It never goes bad. There's nothing in here that will go bad. So keep it in the fridge. I'll show you what I do with it. And I use it in Caesar salads with some shaved Parmesan on top. I like big pieces of Parm on top. I make my own croutons from leftover bread. I mean, the stuff you buy in a box, croutons, you might as well eat the box. They taste the same. It's like frozen pizza. Who buys frozen pizza? We'll do a show on pizza. I'll show you how easily it is to make fresh dough, and you will be successful. The reason we're doing all these is so you're going to be successful. I want you to be able to do these at home and say, hey, look what I did. You know, I didn't cook much before, but look at me now. I'm really doing it. So this is almost finished, and you can see how it's homogenizing in the work bowl of the food processor. Almost there. The color is changed to a very pale, almost an amber yellow wheat color. Okay, and I believe she's done. Now I'm going to let you peek inside this and see what this looks like. Look at how creamy that is. I wish you could taste this. So what I do with this, and when it's done like this, I just buy some cheapy Tupperware, whatever this is. What is this? Rubbermaid, whatever it is. I don't authorize, well, anyway, if somebody wanted to come on here and sponsor, hey, have at it. I'd love to have a few sponsors. But this one I think I probably got at a thrift store too. And I will pour all of this in here and keep it in here and keep it in my refrigerator. So anytime you need it, you just grab it and use it. Again, Caesar salads, fresh tomato salads, it's really great. And it's also great for marinating chicken before you put it on the grill. There's all kinds of things you can do with this salad dressing because it has the basics, which is you've got your acid, which is lemon juice, which tenderizes meat and chicken and poultry and fish. Or you also have the Leon Perrins, where you've got the nuance of the anchovies plus a can of anchovies. Dark cracked pepper, Tellicherry black pepper. Garlic, who doesn't like garlic? If you don't like garlic, you better not watch this show. We live on garlic and butter in this house. And then all the rest of the ingredients in here and just throw it together, like we'll have the recipe at the end. This is an original recipe. I have never given this away until now. So you are the first to get my recipe for Caesar salad dressing, which is going to be famous and legendary. I guarantee it once you serve it to your family. Come back next week. We'll have some fresh recipes, fresh sass, and also make it very entertaining, and you will succeed in cooking. Thanks for joining us.